second qualifying. If everything was to finish as it's currently standing in the race, BMW M Team Redline would have 93 points. Vertus Pro would have 80. Porsche Coanda would have 37. They have so much work to do. Thankfully, they've qualified poorly around a circuit you can race at. Of course, around here at the Daytona International Speedway, it is Kevin Ellis Jr. on pole position. It's Luke Bennett alongside. As you can see from above, you've got Vertus Pro and Redline alongside each other, 2 rows deep. You've got one of those Porsche Coandas back in 6th position, the best placed one of Joshua Rogers, and it's all on the line. You've got to prepare yourself for that final race. Let's see what's going to happen as Kevin Ellis Jr. leads us down into the first corner. Big move and big look coming in there from Charlie Collins and Jordan Caruso. There's a big crash across though. Cutting across was Joshua Rogers as he slams into the side of a couple of Team Redline cars. It's Ellis Jr. from Bennett, from McCormack, from Rogers now up to 4th. Sebastian Job has dropped all the way down to 11th, but Bennett takes over the race lead from Kevin Ellis Jr.
Yeah, super aggressive driving there from Joshua Rogers. He's not messing about here. He wants to get to the front of the pack, as do most of the Porsche drivers. They've got a lot of work to do here, and luckily enough, it's Daytona that we've seen it proven before that this is a track where you can work together, you can overtake, you can make your way from the back to the front, and Rogers there sits nicely in 4th.
I know for a fact Redline will instantly be reporting that and saying, no, that was not fair. As here comes Jordan Caruso around the outside of Kevin Siggy. He might not be able to get down to the double yellow. He just about. That was incredibly tight and very well judged. A big slide coming in from Caruso as Siggy looks to the outside. They head their way through NASCAR 1 and 2 and down towards the Le Mans chicane. Here comes Sebastian Job on the recovery drive. Is it going to go side by side into the Le Mans chicane, 2 rows deep? On the inside there, the one closest to camera is Jordan Caruso. Into the mix, though, comes Mikhail Stetsenko. Charlie Collins drops back to 10th. He cannot repeat that epic drive that he's had back in Jeddah earlier on in the day.
Well, I was holding my breath as they were going into their side-by-side. We saw that in race 6 yesterday. Big incidents going into that chicane. It really is a single file kind of corner. You do not want to be going in there side-by-side. And ideally, not even 3 abreast. Hopefully we don't see that later on. There's already a gulf between the top 6 and the bottom 6, a gap of 1.5 seconds, which is going to be hard for the second group to try to recover.
This is back to the race lead, and it's become a Vertus Pro 1-2. Now, either side of the field then, first and second, Kevin Ellis Jr., Darren McCormack, they're running 1-2. Mikhail Statsenko and Wojtek Fiala, 11th and 12th. Those two at the bottom scoring just a single point between them. At the top, they're scoring 45 for a 46-point finish, which would still be pretty decent, I will say, in this competition. But they've got to hold that 1-2. They've got 2 red lines behind. They've got 2 Porsches, well, 3 Porsches even behind that as well. Thankfully, there's a bit of a gap back, and it's just 2 that are keeping up.
Yeah, this is nicely set up now, having 2 of each team in this leading group, and we still have the best part of, well, 7.5 laps for the teams towards the back to try to do some damage, try to move forward and try to get more points. Now Porsche 5th and 6th. Let's take a look at the back of the pack. Virtus Pro sitting down there 11th and 12th. They've got their work cut out here, as Statsenko there up the inside, and if you just get cut or caught on the outside coming out of turn 6, it's kind of troubling. You can't always get towards the line, and here comes a move back from Job up the inside in towards the bus stop.
Yeah, that was a big one to the inside. Sebastian Job would go. I think he has cleared Statsenko as McCormack's going out wide here. This is so that he can slipstream up to his teammate on the run into turn 1. Bennett's a couple of tenths behind him. He now drops back in deep into the slipstream. This is all very well rehearsed, very well practiced. So you'll see closing up, and Luke Bennett is aware of that. He's very well practiced at this as well. So he won't go for a move necessarily on McCormack right now because he's happy at how things are unfolding. They'll go side by side. That's more a defensive look coming in for the pair of them. See how much earlier McCormack breaks to allow Ellis Jr. to go in deep, but that does mean that McCormack can be in target, and Redline with a bit of an issue there, and there's a bit of a half spin coming in from Reveld. Warren and Rogers also caught up in the mix for Porsche Coanda.
I'm sure we're going to take a replay look at that, but that was a good example of teamwork there. Darren McCormack and Kevin Ellis Jr. kind of blocking the entire circuit, just slowing the race down and causing the carnage behind. And yeah, that really does open up the race quite significantly. McCormack now got a 6/10 gap back to Luke Bennett. So this race is suddenly looking a lot better for the Virtus Pro team. And well, Redline, a disastrous race so far. Sebastian Job being push towards the back of the pack. Likewise for Kevin Siggy. So it's up to Luke Bennett and Rietveld here to pick up the pieces for Team Redline.
Yeah, certainly so. I will tell you what, as things stand in this race right now, Virtus Pro will be taking over the lead of the points in the upper bracket. It'll be 85 points for Virtus Pro. BMW M Team Redline, Red Bull Sim Racing, they will be in second on 74, and the Porsche Commander Esports Racing team will be in third on 51. So it's not quite as dire as it looked right at the start of the race, as Jeff Rietveld defends from Joshua Rogers, the driver with the all-time most victories in R1. He's got Jordan Caruso, he's got Charlie Collins behind him, who in the online season was the highest point-scoring driver of anyone in the field. That's the pressure that Jeff Rietveld now has to deal with, and they're all working together.
Yeah, Porsche have a nice block of drivers here, 6th, 7th and 8th. They can definitely work together, kind of pushing each other past the helpless Rietveld here on the straight, and that's Rogers moving up a position. So we have two together, Warren and Rogers, with Rietveld in the middle, although he's fighting back immediately. He's not having any of it. There's contact through the chicane as we head towards the International Horseshoe. So Rietveld there, getting his elbows out. He's not having any of it. Look at this group. Oh my goodness, I can't make sense exactly what's happening here. So much is happening.
It is every single Porsche Commander. It is 3 of the Team Redlines and 1 Virtus Pro involved in this fight, embroiled in this fight for 4th place. Through the dogleg they go. Jeff Rietveld was looking to the inside, trying to work his way back past on Dane Warren. This is where you need your coaches. This is where everyone needs to be firing on all cylinders. Of course, you've got the likes for Porsche Commander of Luke Pennington. For Team Redline, you've got Andre Kunchman, who, honestly to say, has been one of the greatest coaches that we've had in R1. He's so well versed at kind of positioning these drivers and making sure they're all in the same loop. And then, for Virtus Pro, they're chucked in there as well. The thing is, I think it's a little bit easier for Virtus Pro. They've only got 2 drivers in it. Everyone else is fielding basically most of their deck.
Yeah, here we have a look at Luke Bennett. Of course, he had that incident at the end of race number 6 yesterday, going into the bus stop. Look at this. Oh my God, there was a massive spin, and he somehow recovered. No, that's the opening lap. He does actually manage to recover it. So taking a look at the replay from one of the earlier laps, and I mean, it's really kicking off. This is more resembling a boxing match now, isn't it?
Yeah, and you could see there, that was Kuba Brzezinski, who's keeping an eye on things also for Virtus Pro. Brzezinski, an ex-racer in the championship, has raced with Darren McCormack at Williams, and took over with his teammate his very good friend Nikodem Vishnevsky. They went over to G2. He's a well-versed driver, and he's the one on the wall at the moment, trying to jot down everything and keep Virtus Pro with their eyes on the prize. Rietveld looks to the inside once again. This time it's over Rogers, courtesy of Warren, dropping down to 7th position. This fight at the moment has Porsche Commander of Rogers, Rietveld in 5th, Charlie Collins in 6th, Warren, Job, then Caruso, then Siggy is a fair way off the back, courtesy of the contact. So it's Siggy, Fiala and Statsenko off the rim of the field, meaning that this battle is 3 Porsche Commanders and 2 rather, Team Redlines.
Yeah, this is not an ideal position for Rietveld to be in. He's desperate to try to get to the front of the pack. He's kind of, showing his nose up the inside on as many corners as he can. It's not easy to do. He's got 2 Porsches swarming all over him from behind. And luckily enough, he does have the slipstream benefit from Rogers as we head towards the bus stop. Look at that. Job just off the back of this group, so he's not quite able to provide assistance to his teammate. As the Porsche's looking side by side here in towards the bus stop, and that is Rogers protecting the inside. Oh my God, going side by side into the bus stop. Cool. That was quite an interesting tactic there. Rogers just actually backing off quite a lot.
I think he's almost trying to make it a bit more awkward for Rietveld as well, his way through. Update from race control: 1 second time penalty and 2 penalty points. Joshua Rogers. So Porsche Commander will now be up to 6 penalty points in totality across this day's competition in just 2 races thus far. But watch them gain way more than that right now. As coming through is Rogers, is Collins as well. Dane Warren will join the mix on the high side as they work their way through the tri-oval. And watch Rogers try and slow this one down just a touch, make it a little bit more awkward for Rietveld, trying to allow his teammate to go around the outside. Charlie Collins, who went from 10th all the way up the order in the previous race, he ended up finishing in 4th place in this one. He's trying to do something very similar here around the high banks of Daytona.
I think that was a good play overall. Josh Rogers dropping back to kind of have a block of 3 Porsches in a row. They kind of use each other to push past on the main straight, and now they end up 2 at the front of this group. Obviously, you know, they're a couple of seconds or 5 seconds away now from Luke Bennett in 3rd, so this really is strictly a battle for 4th and 5th. And that was a good tactical work, I think, there from the Porsche Commander team, as now Rietveld and Job up the inside, close to contact. And I was just looking at Rogers on the opening lap in towards turn 1. He kind of turned very sharply across the nose of Sebastian Job, and that was the resulting spin for Job, and that's why he dropped down towards the back.
And why the penalty comes from there a little bit from Joshua Rogers. Very quickly, current points before they all change. Virtus Pro, 85. Oh, there's a big bit of drama here. Sebastian Job gets a little bit wrong-footed there as they work their way up towards the Le Mans chicane. Oh, this is, look, again, the drama, let me tell you, it is not done yet. Sebastian Job, pole position and race victory yesterday around the Daytona International Speedway, and today it's not going quite so swimmingly.
I think we should use Daytona for every race. This is providing some of the best action in this competition so far. So we've got Jeffrey Rietveld up against 2 Porsches now. We've got another block further back here with Warren and Caruso up against Job. Ideally, Job needs the help of Kevin Siggy here to kind of pull up to the back and make it a 2v2 at least. Back towards the front of the pack. Luke Bennett is struggling to try to make inroads into this group of Vertus Pro drivers at the front. And is that an overtake attempt there from Rietveld? He's been aggressive so far, not quite able to, though, to get past the Porsches, though.
Their hard fighting, though, is dragging back in Siggy, Fiala and Statsenko. Let's see this once more. Absolutely baffled by what happened there with Dane Warren. Kind of drove up into the back. Is he tapped? No, he just drove up into it. He drove up into the wall and then slammed back down on Sebastian Job. That's a bit of careless driving, to be honest, but they're all going, I guess. There's that at least, as Sebastian Job still remains behind Jordan Caruso. Points at the moment, 85 for Virtus Pro, red line 72. Porsche Commander will be on 51. They're trying to make that slightly better here as we take a look at some of the moves trying to come in. This is Dane Warren. Either side of him is Jeff Rietveld and Sebastian Job.
Yeah, that was a really nice move into turn 6. Just dived towards the apex, got to the apex first, and cut off Caruso from getting there. And now he has the assistance of Kevin Siggy as we head towards the bus stop side by side. I mean, I'm hoping he backs out in the Porsche there, and sensibly he does, to resume the position behind Job. But onto the main straight. It's going to be quite interesting now with Caruso surrounded by the BMW M4s. It's going to be quite a tricky position for him to be in as we round out lap 7. Only 2 laps to go for these drivers to try to get those last extra points.
Saw a good look at the key there, the right to enter the Esports World Cup. All of the teams that have taken part have got one. Here comes Luke Bennett then for the race lead. Penultimate lap beginning, and he's at a bare minimum trying to separate the 2 Virtus Pros who will desperately try and be locked. It doesn't matter necessarily for them right now if it's first and second, or even second and third, because if they're second and third, they could potentially drag race Luke Bennett up towards the line by working together. But within between, that makes that a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think this is smart driving by Luke Bennett. You know, he kind of sat nicely in 3rd. There's no real need for him to kind of go for 2nd or 1st in the middle kind of phase of this race. He's waiting for the time when it really matters, which is obviously at the end of the race. So now sat in 2nd, he can try and go for the lead with the slipstream. Of course, he does not have a teammate up with him, so it's not going to be easy. We've seen it many times on the main straight here at Daytona. You try to pull out to the outside on the high side of the banking, you kind of run out of steam. And without the assistance of a teammate, it's very difficult to complete that move. But we're going to see in just a moment's time if he's going to be able to do it, because the next lap, obviously the final lap, is going to be the last chance to go in towards a move for turn 1.
Indeed, we'll have one more lap at the end of this. Now, what happens here? This will be very, very important for the strategy of the final lap. If this was a final lap and it was Kevin Ellis Jr. versus Luke Bennett and Darren McCormack wasn't in the mix, Luke Bennett would be able to take the lead by the start-finish line. He's within 3/10 coming off of the Le Mans chicane. So he's going to remain behind right now because he wants to wait for that card and use it on the final lap. However, he does have McCormack behind, and sneaking onto the scene comes the Irishman. Is he going to be able to retake 2nd position? He looks to the inside as they go into the 1st corner. The defensive line comes in from Kevin Ellis Jr. just to make sure he fends off Luke Bennett. Could this become a Virtus Pro 1-2 again?
I think that was smart driving. I think you want the right-hand side. You want the outside for turn 1. As long as you can keep a good speed there on the outside trajectory, gives you the inside line for the international horseshoe. So it might have looked like a weird decision there, but actually he comes out in second. That's probably the best outcome. I don't think the overtake for the lead would have been possible there. But this is going to be really exciting to see if he can maintain second as McCormack up the inside into the second horseshoe. Bit of door banging between the two of them. But once again, Luke Bennett comes out in front and on the inside.
And we've just seen a race where both Bennett and McCormack were doing battle, that time for the race lead. Is that going to be a story of the day? Is that going to be a story of the week? Are we going to see Luke Bennett and Darren McCormack do battle again and again and again, the same way that we see Sebastian Jobe and Joshua Rogers constantly fighting in the history books of R1? Is that what we're destined for over this week in the Esports World Cup? They head their way into the Le Mans chicane. Luke Bennett's maybe a little bit too far back, and Darren McCormack will have that look, try and distract Bennett as they go through the Le Mans chicane. Coming out of it is just over 3/10. I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. I think this could be good for Kevin Ellis Jr. Let's wait and see. It's going to be a drag race for second spot. You'll see McCormack come low. Will it be a Vertus Pro 1-2? As far as I'm concerned, Ellis Jr. is out of the picture. He's destined for victory here on the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway. And not only that, he's going to assist his teammate with slipstream. A tiny margin as they come up towards the line. It's a 1-2 for Virtus Pro as they take over the points lead here in the upper bracket. A fantastic drive coming in from Kevin Ellis Jr. and Darren McCormack. You can see the emotion. They are pumped and they mean business here in the Esports World Cup.
Wow, really impressive teamwork from Virtus Pro there. I think Darren McCormack kind of upset Luke Bennett's entry into the bus stop, separated him from Kevin Ellis. He didn't have any slipstream going onto the main straight, and then he was able to quite easily slipstream by. And yeah, just a really good example of teamwork there. You know, 1-2, they were looking really strong. Luke Bennett, I think, respect to him. He gave that a